Hey guys, so I just wanted to create a quick follow-up video to talk a little bit about how you can create your own ramp timer setup. Um, I mentioned in my last video that my first astral projection a couple of years ago, I actually induced using a ramp timer. So for those of you who haven't heard of ramp timers before, I thought I would give you some brief explanation on how you can create your own and maybe give this a try. I'd love to hear some feedback as to whether or not this works for you or whether or not it's a complete disaster and it just ruins your night of sleep. I think that would be interesting to hear back. Complete disclosure on my part, I actually have had very few successes using a ramp timer. It gave me that first experience, which was awesome, but ever since it seems to be fairly hit and miss. And then due to the nature of the way that this works, it's incredibly disruptive to my sleep cycle, and it's just not something I'm interested in doing very often. In fact, if you try it, I would recommend doing it on a weekend or on a night where you know you've got some time to sleep in the following morning, because you're going to want some time to recover from being woken up over and over and over again. All right, so that being said, to create your ramp timer, you're going to need, the first thing you'll need is some MP3 files. Now these were produced and provided courtesy of a guy named Nicholas Newport, who runs the lucidology.com website, which I've got a link to down below. And when you go to his website, what you'll download is a zip file that contains 12 MP3s. Looks like this. And these MP3s are categorized into three sections. First is files that contain nothing but silence. Second set contain a series of beeps. And then the third set I think probably require a little bit more explanation. And these are for what Nicholas calls rhythm napping. Now, if I understand the theory correctly, this is based on the idea that your brain does not like being yanked out of sleep abruptly over and over again. And I think that's probably true. So I wake up to an alarm every morning. And what I've found over the years is that I actually wake up probably 75, 85% of the time without my alarm. I wake up 10 or 15 minutes prior to it going off. My internal clock or my brain or whatever actually wakes me up before the alarm goes off almost every morning. And quite possibly that is because my brain doesn't like that jarring sensation of waking up to an alarm. Now, I don't know if the science is there to back that, but that is the theory. So if you look at these files, each one of them is built on a base interval. So looking at like the 2-minute base interval, for instance, the very first beep will happen after 2 minutes of silence. Then the second one happens maybe 4 minutes later, then maybe 8 minutes later, then maybe back down to 2. And the idea is that your brain eventually will start to anticipate these randomized beeps. And it will start to preemptively wake you up before the beeps actually occur. Now when this happens, you wake up, and if you can remain completely still, you are in the body asleep, mind awake state. Now if you've done much research on astral projection, you'll know that mind awake, body asleep is the ideal state to be in before you can have any of these experiences. But typically, this requires lying in bed, completely still, don't move, don't scratch, don't swallow, clear your head, and just think of something monotonous to keep your mind busy while your body falls asleep, and it is not an easy thing to do. So this takes out all of that pre-work and puts you in a situation where your body is already asleep, your mind is now awake, and quite often you will wake up to a state of sleep paralysis, or if you're like me with my first experience, you'll actually wake up mid-vibrations, mid-roaring in your head, and all you need to do is let the process continue, stand up, and you're out. All right, so you've got your MP3 files. The next step is to create a playlist. So I'm an Android user. I basically took all these MP3s and I uploaded them to the Google Play Music cloud, and that way I can create playlists right on my phone. So here is an example of a playlist I created. Now this is 6 1-hour blocks of silence followed by one of the rhythm napping audio files. And so if I go to bed at 9 p.m., I can put my headphones on, and this will wake me up with the first set of beeps right around 3 in the morning. Now at that point, my only goal is to just go right back to sleep. You want to just go to sleep every time you hear these beeps, and then, as I mentioned, the goal is for your brain to start preemptively anticipating these beeps and waking you up so you can be in that state. A lot of times, what I found more often than not is this will lead to lucid dreams, to false awakenings, and if there's ever an instance where you wake up and you recognize that you're in sleep paralysis or those vibrations are already pounding, then that is the time where you don't want to immediately go back to sleep. You want to remain conscious, and you want to let this process continue so you can have this experience. So if you're not an Android user, I am fairly confident that iTunes allows you to create playlists. If you don't have a smartphone, you absolutely could just use another MP3 player that offers playlist creation capabilities as well. So what I've found is that the sweet spot for me tends to be right between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. After about 4 to 6 hours of sleep. So I would say maybe start with that, and this is probably going to take some experimentation. It's probably going to take some tweaking, but that would be at least a good place to start. So the next thing, just that I thought I would mention, because I did some experimentation with this as well, is it is not always easy to fall asleep with headphones on, especially if that forces you to lay in a position that you're not typically used to sleeping in. So I'm a side sleeper, and that is the position I fall asleep most readily in, and that's the position I'm most comfortable in, and that is the position that I've had successes using these ramp timers in. So putting headphones on makes it difficult to lie on your side. So one solution I found for that is using headphones that look like this. So it's sort of just a headband with built-in headphones. It's fairly comfortable, and I've had it work for me a few times. It's kind of tight around my head, and I actually honestly found a solution that I like better that was actually much cheaper afterwards. And that is, I've got a pair of headphones where one of the headphones died. Now, if you're a regular headphones user, I'm sure you've experienced that. One of the headphones goes out, just quits working, and essentially I just cut off that second one that didn't work, and now all I've got is a single headphone. So what I do is, if I'm laying on my left side, I will put this in my right ear, so my ear that's facing the ceiling, and that way I can still hear the beeps through one ear. I can still sleep in a natural position. I don't have something tight constricting the blood flow to my brain around my head, and that is what I have found works the best for me, just having one headphone, one earphone in. So that probably would work for you if you're not the kind of person that rolls around a lot in your sleep. I tend to just stay in the same position all night long. So just a couple of ideas there. So give this a try. I would love to hear your feedback, your ideas, and your experiences with this. Let me know if you've got any questions. Like always, I'm going to have a matching blog entry. There's a link down below that will kind of just go through this in some more detail in case any of this is unclear. But good luck, and I will talk to you soon. And let me know again if you've got any questions. Thanks for watching.